All right, I believe we're live. We're definitely live, and nobody showed up just yet, so this is a live video. And if you look to your right or your left on your device, your phone, tablet, laptop, there's so many different ways you can view a video now. It's crazy. But because this is a live video as of 11/3, so November 3rd, you should be able to chat with me. If you're viewing this video later on tonight or another day, obviously it's no longer live and you won't be able to chat. So today, what we're going to be talking about is Section 8, low income housing and affordable housing. Like we always do, this is a live event to help people with questions they have in regards to potentially getting a voucher, finding housing, and the many other questions that come along with this. For those of you that already have a voucher, maybe in project-based housing, senior housing, and so on. And so a lot of you face different discrimination issues and other things in that arena with landlords. Maybe you're dealing with employees at the housing authority locally that just aren't doing so well for you. So this is your opportunity to be able to ask those questions that you typically can't get a straight answer for. So before we get started in the video, I just want to make a few introductions about myself. I am the owner of Section8Consulting.com. I think you can view that address on the thumbnail. And I have a website. I've been in the industry for about 20 years, 7 on YouTube. There's over 200 videos I've made. So I am an absolute authority in the area. I don't write books. I'll leave that for people that sell snake oil because I've never read a book that was worth reading when it came to Section 8. So beyond that, I don't see any questions here. So y'all going to force me into this. So I'm going to start talking about a few different types of housing and just kind of go from there. First of all, I also want to remind y'all it's the holiday season. And so one thing that I've been reading about is HUD in DC and some regional offices are handing out awards. Imagine that. So we have a housing crisis. Nobody really can get anything, and it's a very big struggle. People are migrating across the country. Things are going pretty badly. I've received a lot of calls for people that need me to do casework to get them through the system. But we're handing out awards at HUD and housing authorities. I'm not quite sure what these awards are for. Best attitude, the phone. Most times the phone's been hung up or off the hook. How many times doors have been closed? The fact that nobody's received a voucher. So maybe you get an award for not doing anything. And now most of you do know I have my concerns about housing authorities and their employees. Because one thing that I'm seeing play out across the nation is a lot of housing authorities are just simply closed. They no longer want to answer phones. And we went through this. Did we not go through this back in I think it was March? So we've evicted, 40, 50 million people around the nation, put about another 8 million out of their homes. And the housing authorities just see it suitable to defer you to 211 and not do a damn thing for you. So let's talk about what it's going to take right now. So as you all know, we're about 2 or 3 weeks away from Thanksgiving, and then maybe about 6 weeks from Christmas. Tough times. And a lot of you are just getting by, and a lot of you are trying to figure out where to move. Some of you are just dealing with horrifying landlords and cases of discrimination and other issues. And so right now, what it's taken for a lot of my clients is I'm having to take people, and pre-pandemic, before this happened, we were moving people from one county to another, and then it became moving several counties. And now, towards the end of the summer, we're now moving clients states over, and sometimes all the way across the nation. We're literally hunting for housing authorities that are open, that are willing to kick out vouchers for specific reasons. I mean, we're having to play at so many different levels to get clients vouchers as quickly as possible. It's actually unimaginable. I've never seen anything like this play out in 20 years, and I got to tell you, this has been the toughest 2 years, mainly because the amount of people that have come to me in dire situations has probably increased around 500%. And what used to be casework where I was working with people, trying to get them through the application process, make sure they had the right preferences, if they didn't meet certain requirements, and making sure they're armed with those things, because you all know if you get one shot to fill out an application, and either you have the right preferences, the right answers, or you wait another 15 years in the middle of a crisis. So, look, a lot of these cases I take, and we started a week, and we end up going multiple weeks to get what we need. A lot of you, I'm having them run through continuum of care housing because they kick out vouchers quicker within 35 days. But even that system is becoming inundated. So the video is not about bad news. I'm just saying that what I've always done has become sophisticated at this point because it's taken a hell of a lot more work, a lot more patience. And one thing that a lot of my clients seem to suffer from is they want things done. They believe when 7 days have passed, uh, that a voucher should be well and prepared for them on their doorstep, and that's not reality right now. Be glad that if you do consulting or you have me as a consultant, that we're only talking about weeks, possibly a month or so, and not 15 to 20 years. There are people that die waiting on these lists, okay? And I sometimes feel like some of my clients have complaining spirits, but I do get that. So I think right now the best approach is trying to target 5 to 10 housing authorities at a time, being able to correct and figure out ways to defeat the zip code and area preference. So, for those of you that don't live in the area of where you're applying, using real street addresses that can be purchased online. So, there's lots of ways to persuade that to get you farther up. One of the fatal mistakes that a lot of my clients make pre speaking to me would be they apply all over the place. But the thing about it is, housing authorities don't want to hear anything from you if you don't live in that county. So you have to kind of play a bit of a game to make that work out. Okay. And so that's one of the things, steps. Number two, what was low income is no longer low income. Now they're looking at things like extreme low income. And so adjusting your income in just such a way that you're going to meet that preferential. Look, where you live and your income play a big factor. There's no magic in that. Everybody's well aware, and it changes city and county. But the bigger factors, let's talk about some of the bigger factors for those of you that are new to the channel. So I'm going to pull some up because right now it's late in the evening and I can't always recode every little thing. So we talk about special use vouchers and special preferences, okay? And I'm going to name up some of the more common ones that I like to target. Now, for those of you that know, being low income, that is what it is. And so that does entitle you at least the ability to apply for a voucher, but it only really entitles you to go to the very end of the list. Having a disability, a lot of people think that's a magic bullet. It is not. Over 80%, maybe 90% of the people that apply have some type of disability. That only just puts you at the back of the list again. What I'm saying is maybe a disability does help, but that by itself means nothing. Not when the whole crowd, everybody's got problems. You see what I'm saying? So having a wide number of preferences or problems is what typically pushes you higher. And look, guys, if you're trying to deal with housing authorities with lotteries, just stop. That's an absolute fantastic joke. Lotteries are a game of odds. You cannot influence that kind of system. If the housing authority is not willing to accept the application based on preferences and skip the lottery, then you need to find some other counties that are more relevant to your case. Okay. So I'm just telling you right now that lottery jazz is just not, I don't even bother with it. If they say lottery, I'm out of there. Okay. So preferentials for those of you who have served in the United States military, for those that have served in the Coast Guard and so on, that gives you one type of preference, and it also angles you into a specific type of voucher funding, which is HUD VASH, VASH. For those that have reached the glorious age of 55, which I'm quickly cruising towards, um, life gets better, okay, because you get more preference with that. When you're under 55, it doesn't mean things are going to go bad. It just means that's one less thing that we can check on your list as far as preferences are concerned. Now, when you reach the magic age of 62, that's where it gets extra special because at that point, you're legitimately, by federal law, a senior. Okay. And that is a preference. For those of you that are within 30 days of eviction, for those that have already successfully been evicted, and for those that are sleeping in the car at homeless shelters, sleeping on couches, and so on. There is two ways that we could claim homelessness in that, but we must match the rules in which they're looking for. And it's never what people think. You think, oh, well, I'm homeless. That should be sufficient enough answer. No, pray not. There are several things that are built into that. And if you don't give that answer in just the right way about how long and how often, then you simply are going to fail with that. Okay. Look, a lot of my clients, look, we utilize that. One of the big factors, really big. Let me give you the big three, okay? The big three is going to shoot you pretty much past the whole lower part of the list, and that's disability, that's domestic violence, and let me check the list again because my mind's slipping a little bit today. Homelessness, disability, and DB. A fourth heavy criteria, but at more than the medium level, is going to be your age, and especially those of you who are 62 and older. Look, you've got to get two of those three, at least two of those four. So there's three majors and one minor, I would say. You've got to nail two. If you don't, let me tell you something, guys. I don't want you to misunderstand what I'm telling you about this, but look, if you have never suffered from mental problems, then let me tell you, if you're working with me, by the end of the week, you're going to be suffering from them. And not because of me, okay? Because if the course of the law and the requirement is we're only going to start kicking out vouchers to people with mental problems, and maybe for the first time in your life, it's time to go see the psychiatrist. Do you understand that what we're doing is we're matching the course and the plot of the law to make it work for you? Okay, it's not a look when you're out there and you're desperate and you're trying to get this and you don't want to wait an extra 10 years, then maybe you really have been suffering. So I think you kind of understand where I'm going with that. Sometimes if we know what it is they're looking for, then we need to start building that case around making sure that if you're not crazy today, by the end of the week you will be. You see my point? Now that's within the reasonable law. They should have never mentioned it. They should have never published it if they never intended to have people that were willing to go to any extent to get housing. Should we have to do so as a reasonable means at this point? Well, if this was a good, honest system, we would have a drive-by window, just like at the grocery store, to get your prescriptions, and you say, "Hey, print me out a voucher." But life doesn't work that way, does it? It's very complex. They've had 60 years to write operational manuals, data manuals, procedure manuals, housing authority manuals, HUD manuals, directors reports, and so on. I have over 4 terabytes. I added actually today I added another 4 terabyte hard drive to encompass the sheer amount of information it requires to keep up. Each new Democrat, Republican that pops in that office, they wipe out the whole system, but then they rewrite it, and then we have to have new rules, new policy, new Congress rules, and everything, and the HUD changes all over again. So you see, this is a 20-year battle trying to keep up. And then we're going to multiply that the fact that I deal with all 50 states, and you're talking about thousands of housing authorities. When housing authorities receive the primary rules, legislation like Title 24, federal regulation, federal code, they can modify that to match the criteria of their community. So if the community is diverse in other issues, they can modify their policies in such a way that would, if in one county you would be the perfect candidate for a voucher, and in another county you may not. And it's not based on whether you're white or you're black or you're young or you're old. It's based on the community, and then housing authority can change that. So the only way to defeat that kind of system is to do open public request, open federal request, command them, compel them to turn over. How many vouchers do you have? How much funding do you have right now for seniors that need a voucher? How much money do you have for a disabled person? And so we're looking for loopholes and ways to legally exploit the system by knowing what we need before we ever put ink to paper to apply. You walking in with your purse and your ink pen and all your medical files doesn't mean jack. Nobody cares about that. A lot of you come to me, you have about a terabyte of shit and problems. Look, it's about special preferences. It's about these preferences. If you don't get them, then you don't have a chance in hell. And there's not one magic bullet. You're going to have several of them for this to work. And that's what we're doing. That's what this casework's about. You know, look at this. The first week when I work with clients, it's nothing but me hammering the housing authority to give up the goodies, to find out specifically what they have to offer and how we can persuade that system to kick out a voucher, if it's even possible. Sometimes I end up having to explore half a state, 30, 40 counties before we even get a hit. And let me tell you, as I mentioned earlier in the video, we're talking about 60 days out from Christmas Day. Look, a lot of these housing authorities didn't want to answer the phone today. The closer we get to Turkey Day and the closer we get to Santa Claus on your roof, the closer we're going to get to a lot of these state and county employees just being off for weeks at a time, which means all this whole system is fixing to start shutting down. We're already November 3rd. Do you honestly think the housing authority gives a shit enough for them to keep the light bulbs on just because you need something? They don't. If you're under that delusion, call them. See, look, we're all struggling. Look, I'm struggling to keep up with my clients just to compel these people to pick up the fucking phone. So, but let's not, I don't want to get too far into moaning and groaning about it. Let's get back to the basics. So, preferences back to the homeless, disability, and domestic violence are major factors. And some housing authorities have been granted a lot of money, millions, for if your house is burned down. Well, how the hell does that help anybody? And if anything, I'm concerned that people will go down to the gas station and get a $4 in gas to burn their house down just to get a voucher at this point. You know, there's a lot of craziness with this stuff. So, besides that, those of you who receive Social Security disability have proven disability. Award letters for food stamps, Medicare, Medicaid. Those that have preferentials. Now, they just re-added a preference for those of you that are Black Americans, okay? Not African American, not just, to me, everybody here, in America, we, whatever race, but from now, if you are an Indian or if you're a Black American, I would give this the equivalent of if you were making a nice cake and you put some sprinkles on, that's about how much points preferential you would get for that right now. Okay. It's not the old system we had back in the 80s. All right. So those are a few factors. Now, there are a lot of other ones that can be considered that are just off this list. And that, again, can be determined at the will of the housing authority director and the people that work under her. And so it's important we understand that system before we approach it. All right, so I'm gonna stop and answer a few questions because you guys, this is a Q&A video. This is how you get free advice without paying anything, and some of you are experts at that. So I'm hoping that you ask the questions. So Candy Girl, good to see you back in the channel. I'm glad you made it to the channel. Bama Mama, hey Jay, how are you? I'm doing well today. I had several things I had to do today, but my computer almost crashed from too much information, and so spent a lot of time putting a hard drive in. Look, I'm not an expert at computers. I know when to drive in my lane. When the car breaks, I go to the mechanic. When the AC breaks, I call the AC man, and when the computer breaks, you call the IT guy. Let me give you that same advice about Section 8, okay? You think you're an expert. Go out there, do that yourself, and when you fuck it up, trust me, you'll be calling me because there aren't that many of me and what I do specifically left in this game anymore. After 20 years, a lot of consultants have left this field because they get tired of dealing with people that have too many problems, complicated cases, people that have severe mental illness and other issues. Okay, and so I am a dying breed. I would say I've already Googled this, and every way I know, I've only been able to find 5 consultants left. Okay, that's how many exist anymore in this. That's it, 5. Now there are other consultants that are 401k3. Now those type of consultants are specifically if you are a HUD landlord and you want to make sure you're meeting the building criterias, but that's different. That is a HUD consultant. You see my point? Alicia Cooley, hey, how you doing? Good to see you back in here. Kathy K, can you go on vacation if you live in a Section 8 apartment? Well, Kathy, it's not the county jail. You most certainly can. I hope you do. No, you're not trapped by that. Look, your HAP contract, when you receive a Section 8 voucher, if that's what you'd like to call it, it's really a housing choice voucher. And you want to take a vacation, go somewhere, go. It isn't until you no longer pay your rent or you abandon the unit. Abandoning a unit would say that you have not paid rent in over 30 days and you have not been present on the property greater than probably 90. Loria, hello, I see you. So yes, Kathy, please go take a vacation. If I were you, go up there, go in the mountains, find you a night. See, here's my deal. When Christmas rolls around, I like to see snow out the winter, but I live in Texas, so the only thing we have out here is cows and cow pastures and heat. You can get a suntan on Christmas Day. I'm not begging for a lot of snow. I don't want to die in a blizzard in Chicago. I'm just saying, for once in my life, I'd like to see one fucking flake roll by the window. And I think I got my wish last year. As y'all remember, we received several inches of snow in Houston, and it blacked out the whole state. So Around 60 million people lost power. That's not my idea of fun. Okay, 4 days with it being 30 degrees in the house, it was no fun. And I had all those cats. Y'all know I have 22 rescue cats. That was not a joke. That was not funny for me. But now we have I bought a generator, as y'all know. I'm not getting caught like that again. We already know that people crazy in Texas when it comes to the power grid. Texas likes to think it's its own country, so we have our own. We have our own power grid, and the super wealthy own that power grid, so they don't ever maintain it. So you get one flake on the power line, and the whole state went down. Absolute joke. Those men are not sitting in prison. They actually ended up getting more money. They get paid to be assholes. So I have a lot of strong opinions, guys. So you have to watch that with me. We'll get back to the Section 8 in a minute. So Kathy K says, I need one. Loria, me too. Brittany Monero, snow sucks. It does, but I got to tell you, man, I like to see a few flakes, on Christmas Day for once in my life. I grew up in Louisiana. It's so hot. And I don't want anybody standing on my roof trying to cut ice down the window. I just want a few flakes, man. Like y'all get it up there. But I don't want feet. Loria says, yes, we did. Kathy K says, my daughter had a baby and lives in another state. I was worried about going and not knowing the rules. Well, there's not really there's not so much rules there. Just as long as you're meeting the terms of your contract, you're meeting the stipulations in your lease, then you're fine. Pay your bills. Make sure that you're, maintaining the property. Have somebody looking into it. Make sure you water and feed your pets, before you leave. And hey, guys, as a thing, man, make sure you unplug a lot of things. That way, when you come back, it ain't burned down. Lori, I hope that changes for us. I hope so too. Kelly Bello, did you watch the World Series last night? I didn't. I had to go to bed early. I went downtown Houston today. Had to take care of a bunch of stuff. That was a long ride. I live out in the country. That was a long ride down there. I can get back to about 10. Then I had to go to motor vehicles. And we have mega centers. When you're in a big state like this, we're kind of like California. And when I say a mega center, it's no joke. You could put 10,000 in there. That's how big the building is. And that's where I spent the rest of my morning, of course, in this computer. Lori, me too. New Iberia. Okay, I know what that is now. So, Laura, if you're out there in New Iberia, that means you're a native of Louisiana. So you're a Cajun, Creole, or you're imported. Either way, we love you. Kelly Bellows says, I hate snow. I love NOLA. All right. NOLA means New Orleans. So we got an Orleans queen in here. Good. I love my New Orleans folks. There was many times I walked that Bourbon Street and many side streets down there that I wasn't the man I am today. That's for sure. Was definitely drunk as an owl. If y'all been out to New Orleans during the Mardi Gras, y'all know how things roll out there. And so look, you asked for a shot out there. New Orleans' idea of giving you a shot of alcohol is not this little prissy stuff we do out in Texas with a little tiny shot of glass. They pour you the equivalent of about 4 ounces of alcohol, and you're pretty much trash within a couple of hours. If you could hammer back 6 drinks in the city of New Orleans without getting fried, you're either an alcoholic or you're recovering. So anyways, let me get on back to Section 8. Y'all bringing up that Louisiana stuff, and y'all going to get me talking about gumbo, etouffee, crawfish, and all that good business we do down there. When I left that Louisiana, I told Mom, I said, look, I can boil crawfish anywhere. So I'm going to head to Houston, the big city, and see how the big city folks do it. And I've been here 20 years. So I'm a Cajun cowboy. And actually this summer, I'm moving to Arkansas. So I'm going to be a Cajun cowboy redneck, I guess, if you go to Arkansas. What do they call folks in Arkansas? And by the way, I didn't mean that to be offensive in any way. So, anyways, a few more comments here. I'm in Fort Bend County. Okay, well, you're a little bit north of me. I'm in Tomball, Loria. And Loria says, a fifth of liquor. Oh, man, my drinking days are done. I'm just, I'm either one extreme or another, and alcohol is just not the best thing for me. So, yeah, I kind of give that up. Yeah, I'd rather have the entertainment of my cats and other things than me sit down with a fifth of liquor. I just don't think anything good is going to come out of that at my age. So, all right, guys, let's get on back to that Section 8. So, we already know how hard it is, and so we're facing this as the holidays, and we already know to anticipate that once we get to about third week of November, which is not far from now, a lot of these county employees will start taking on massive chunks of time, and so you can pretty much hang it up after that. We got about two weeks, maybe a little longer, and then it needs to start shutting down, and we're not going to see a resumption of county or state services till the new year. Okay, guys. For those of you that are on the fence or about to be out your home or sleeping in the car, I would suggest to you that now would be an appropriate time to react and do something. I have warned a lot of you, especially those who've been around, but I realize a lot of people showed up have not been around forever. Look, guys, as we cruise into these holidays, a great deal of housing authorities are shut, and the ones that aren't closed are not answering their phones. We're having to get clever in the way that we're able to contact them. Sometimes filing reports with HUD and DC and regional offices just to complain to get them to pick up the phone and manage some of these waiting lists that they have. For those of you that are participating in rapid rehousing, housing first, permanent supportive housing, which is the equivalent of Section 811. Those vouchers you can still get within about 35 days. If you're in Florida, about 60, New York, even longer. So there's still options out there. But the thing about it is, you have to be able to put the time and effort in. I realize that I do consulting work for people, but the thing about the consulting work is there's a lot of things that I'm limited in the way that I can do it. In other words, I don't have the time to make 400 calls for a person as a means of casework. So there is, working with me or section8consulting.com means that we need full participation. You have to show a true interest in, wanting to get this done. As I always mention with people, usually getting a voucher is not always an issue of whether you're really going to get it. I think you have fairly good odds considering I've been in the business 20 years. But I think also the reality is a lot of times we have to uproot our life and go far, far from where we currently are to find a hard and loose voucher to get. You're going to have to survive about 12 months to successfully complete your HAP contract, and then I can port you right back into your city if feasible. Okay. What I'm saying is these are unusual times. We can't just play the game the same old way anymore. And the reason I call this a game, guys, look, when you have a failure rate, when people go in and apply and they have a failure rate close to 99%, and to even have a reasonable shot at getting anything out of a housing authority requires you to deal with a consultant, tells me we're dealing with a rigged system. In addition to that, I don't think I need to explain that when housing authorities say the word lottery, there's no other way to perceive that. A lottery is a game, okay? It's a game of odds. And that's quite literally what that is, okay? So don't ever tell me we're not playing a game. We absolutely are. It's a game with the housing authority and their little lotteries. And, as I mentioned many times, don't ever think for a minute that if you weren't friends with somebody at that housing authority, I have countless people that work at housing authority and countless people that formerly worked at housing authorities. Okay. They come to my channel often. About 3% will say very disparaging things about me because they're angry and they still work there. Okay. But most of the people that are former and current employees of the housing authorities around this nation that contact this channel, I can tell you it's greater than 100. Okay. Greater than 100. Most of them just told me that it's an absolute reality, and it's set at a disadvantage for a lot of you. So I think that we have to be smart about the tactics we deploy. The old days of apply, beg, and get are just not what it used to be. Section 8 is an evolved system. It has been evolving for over 60 years, and it's become harder. So I'm going to take a look at a few more questions here, and looks like we're at about 28 minutes. This would be a lot easier because if you guys would ask questions, because that was the intent of the video. So if y'all are getting bored and you drop off from the video, it's not so much in my monotone. It's just the fact that nobody's really asking me questions. So I'm talking to the wall, hoping that something I'm saying is going to actually save somebody. I'm hoping that something I'm saying is going to prevent a person in a wheelchair from living in the woods, or maybe a disabled person from sleeping on a mat under a bridge. Okay. So I take this responsibility quite seriously. There are major consequences when you start consulting people about their homes and they don't get it, because it changes the course of what's going to happen. And there are people this year that will freeze to death before they actually will ask for help. Pride's a great matter that I deal with the young and old. Too much pride, and you find a dead body with, that's frozen. So I deal with all kinds of trying to save people from all kinds of situations. This year, let me explain another thing that I think a lot of people have not considered. This pandemic has filled up the shelters, so the shelters are at half capacity. We have 100 times the demand for the same space, but now we only have half of it. Okay, so now rather than being on a waiting list to get a shelter bed, you're now getting on a waiting list to have an opportunity to sleep in a shelter bed once every half a year. So this year, people will likely lose their life over this. There's just simply no room. And there's vouchers, you're out there hunting for vouchers that may not be present. So it's a lot of complicated stuff to get these things occasionally. So I don't think the process itself is super sophisticated. I just think that not everybody is in the physical or mental condition to chase vouchers all around the nation right now. And so that is a tough situation. As we get into the cold season, this could affect people's lives. I do believe. I'm going to take a sip of my 99-cent Texas energy drink, and I'll answer a few questions. All right. So it looks like Sally Patterson. Oh, by the way, this is A. Well, if you're A, I'm B. By the way, guys, I'm reading comments as they come through as people are chatting with me. So if you're late to the channel, you can actually chat with me. And this is actually still a real video. It's not recorded. Loria, what about purchasing a home with your Section 8 voucher? Now, Loria, you just threw a hammer at my head. I got about 900 videos about that, but I don't mind addressing it. I think the first thing, if you're going to consider utilizing the voucher, instead of using the voucher to pay your rent and you want to use it to pay towards your mortgage, the first thing you want to establish is which housing authority actually offers that option. And what you're going to be finding, one of the first roadblocks you're going to run into is we do not have a nationwide system for that yet. So you literally have to call every housing authority in the nation till you get one of them. What do we believe at this number? The numbers are. I think a safe number is 4 to 7% of all housing authorities may have that program. The larger the city, the less likely that you're going to find this program where you can utilize it that way. Some exceptions are New York. Okay, the New York State, I should mention. So if you're able to locate, because there's not a database for this, and as far as I know, nobody's keeping track of it. I'm sure they'll not, because there's over 5,000 counties. Last time I checked, so I'm not going to call every day to see which one has it. Step one is establishing that too. Are you able to complete a 6-month to 8-month process, which would involve possibly a consultant like me? Second to that, it would involve an employee at the housing authority working you through their documentation, policies, and procedures there. Second person. Then you'd want to, when you reach the stage you're considering credit and lending, you would need to deal with a lender. So that's a third party, possibly a bank or another organization. So now we're up to the lender, and then we're dealing with the other broker and real estate agent, which deals specifically with the sale and purchase of a home. Now we're at 4 people, not including you. So that's 5. And then, as we know, nothing happens fast. So we're going through a system of things. Lending requires credit scores, requires equal employment consistently over the 12 months. And then there will be a material difference in how much money you would need to be earning. Now, the nice part about the earning part of this deal is you can be a pretty low earner and actually utilize this program. They're not so friendly with the credit. Yeah, they start at 500, but that is an unsecured loan. To get into secured or normal housing loans or lending, you would need to arrive somewhere in the 640s to 660s to be a decent candidate. Otherwise, you're going to be scrambling around town dealing with loan sharks. Okay, so anytime you're below 640, you're looking at loan sharks or a lot of rejection. So it's true, yeah. I mean, they can accept you at a 500, but what is the likelihood that they want to do so without you paying 33% interest? Beyond that, you want to incorporate other programs that I'm not an expert in, but I mean, the USDA loan says if you're outside the metropolitan area and you're buying a home in the country, that there could be 0 down and 0 interest. The new president we received, that got elected, Biden, You can now utilize a federal grant. Now, mind you, the grants do not need to be paid back. They're a gift if you meet the requirement, and this is a $25,000 gift towards the purchase of a home, which I believe could be worked in lieu of the voucher situation. Okay. But there are particular rules about that. I mean, yeah, you can collect it, buy a house, and then sell it. No, you can't. There's going to be rules in that. And so utilizing that grant will likely include an additional person. So you see, this is kind of like an orchestra with a lot of people, and you have to be able to orchestrate all of these things very well. For those of you that are highly educated, engineers, doctors, nurses, and so on, that materially got your career because of all the learning you did, then I believe that you're highly capable of getting it. Though, in another category of people I'd like to mention are those that are on the spectrum that may have Asperger's. They've made excellent clients too because sometimes they have developmental delays, but a lot of them are, I would say, moderate geniuses at a lot of things. So I have a great deal of respect for those of you that are on the spectrum. You guys have an amazing mind, and I've seen it play out. I'm not saying that everything in your life is perfect, but a lot of you guys on spectrum and with Asperger's are quite intelligent. I just want to bring that up because I believe that sometimes compliments are due when they're due. And I can say that definitely people with disabilities have amazing talents if people just allow them to use them, you know? All right. So anyway, let me get back to the questions being asked in this chat window. So Kelly Bello looks like she's made a few comments further. I was just wondering, since you're into Houston and I am from Atlanta, I used to live out in Atlanta. I used to live a lot of places in my early days. So Atlanta, I lived out there near Marietta and Stone Mountain. Wasn't there long. I was pretty young. Loria, what about the person from home? So I think I answered that question. Gary Powell, welcome to the channel. What's the average wait time getting Section 8 now? Well, I would need a point of reference because that would literally be a different answer per every county and housing authority. But if I look nationwide and just grouped out all together in just one big cluster, I would say that waiting times could be as short as about 35 days and as long as time stretches. One lady came to me the other day. I didn't do any casework for her. She's been on the list 20 years. It tells me she did absolutely everything. She gave the worst possible answer. There's more to that story, trust me. She's on that list for a very specific reason. There's no glitch that makes anybody sit on the list for 20 years. Oh, I hate when I do that. My knee hit the desk. All right, so I'm going to move on. Loria, I am new here. Well, Loria, we're glad to have you here. I hope I'm saying that name correct. Anybody that's new, we're glad to have you. Sally Patterson, I have to ask you to send that booklet to read and answer the questions you said I need to do. Sally, why don't you do me a favor? You have your name as Sally Patterson on this during this video. I would like you to send me an email, and I would like for you to identify yourself as Sally Patterson in that email, and so I'll know. And then just copy and paste that in there, and I will address it. Today was all. And sometimes, occasionally, guys, I make mistakes. Now, think about this. I deal with thousands of people every year, and I deal with hundreds every month. It is perfectly possible that I told somebody I needed something, or you needed to send me something, and so on, and I forgot, or it just got in the mix. That happens. If the world was perfect, we wouldn't have anybody in prison. You see my point? So I'm not off the hook. Just send it to me, and I will get you the information. I assure you. I pride myself on getting things done. Tiffany Nataj, I hope I'm saying that right. I'm bad with names. God, I'd probably get beat up if I was in a stadium, mispronouncing everybody's name. So, Mr. Taj, you said, would you have to be in an apartment first before applying for purchasing a Section 8 home? Well, there's no, Tiffany, there's no strict correlation towards that. The only requirement would be that you successfully utilize the voucher for 12 months, if that's what you're asking. If you're first time and you're looking to apply and receive the voucher, you could be applying from the woods, from a toilet, it doesn't matter. It could be from anywhere. It doesn't matter. They do understand this low income people move out of shacks. Some people are homeless. It don't matter. They're not going to disqualify you because you came out of somebody's nice home. So don't worry in that area. I think you're going to be fine, Tiffany. Sally Patterson, and of course, I can't remember Okay, so I see what you're saying, Sally. Yeah, just shoot me that information, and I'll try to get it over to you tonight. Okay, Cynthia Rose Johnson, how are you? If COCs don't have waiting lists, how can my place be determined? Over 130 days with preferences due. And you said the magic word. If you, Cynthia Rose Johnson, if you look at the very end, you said the word Florida. Florida does something very special that no other COCs do. First of all, the continuum of care in the state of Florida is a nightmare. Number two, half the continuum of care, unlike every other state, is controlled by one agency. Okay. And they hand out these continuum of care vouchers for rapid rehousing and permanent supportive housing, like they hand out gold bars at Willy Wonka's chocolate mart. Okay. It's tough. I've got a client that just drove all the way from Florida to Houston because I told him I would be able to get it for him here quicker than I ever would in Florida. Now, we had a fair chance at Florida early on this year and even a few months ago, but what the problem is now is we're moving into the holiday season, compounded by all the other issues. So it's better not to talk about excuses, but Florida's just not. I'm no longer recommending anything for Florida. However, I don't believe that's going to stop you from the process. But at 130 days, I'd say we're probably in trouble. I'm curious as to why I hadn't heard back from you in regards to that after the first 30 days, or if you did contact me, let me know. Mary Sample, hey, how's it going? So Mary Sample asked about first-time home buyers only for down payment grants. Well, okay. To be strictly on that, Miss Sample, I would say that your interest is strictly in the 25,000 that Joe Biden's offering if you do it. So if that's what you're asking about, you can Google that. That's a simple thing. There's no need to go too deep in that. So I'm trying to understand the context of your question. Lori, how much house can you buy? Now I got to warn you guys. When y'all say a question like that, it makes me think y'all going to try to go and buy $1 million house. It ain't going to happen. Look, if the HUD says, hey, you got a limit to how much you can spend rent on. So if they tell you, hey, we're going to pay out 1,200, maximum of 1,200 on your rent, there's going to be adjustment on the amount you can spend on the house, and it's going to probably be limited by those numbers. So the reason I can't give a clear number is because they use a mathematical equation for that, and that changes for every housing authority as well. Fair estimation that none of you are going to be able to purchase a home over 200K. So if you're living big out there in San Fran, New York, Jersey, and all that, you're going to be taking you and your country ducks all the way to a new county where things are less expensive. They're not going to allow you to purchase $1 million home. In other words, the notes need to be reasonable, and they're not going to be reasonable in the upper East Coast. They're not going to be reasonable in California. So, well, I won't say all of California, but out there, good ways. Looks like it goes on. Jennifer Swift. Is it normal to be denied a HCV voucher, okay, Housing Choice Voucher, because of 3 misdemeanors from 3 years ago? No, well, I don't think that's not normal. I mean, I just had a guy get out of federal prison for bank robbery. He robbed, I don't know how many banks. He's sitting there with a voucher right now on the key to his door. I don't think your shitty little misdemeanors matter. What I do have consideration or is I don't know what they are for. There are specific crimes that housing authorities intentionally look for. And if it has to do with the abuse of people, okay, if it has to do in relation to drugs of certain type, if it has a relation to do with a sexual offense, then that can be quite catastrophic, and the housing authority could deny you on principle. And also, the person there could straight up bias you out. If you've been denied one place, that's fine. You gas up the car, you drive to the next county 10 minutes away, you repeat the process. Every housing authority has its own set of rules. They're not connected, okay? So where you fail in one spot, you keep moving. A lot of you guys throw up your hands and give up too easy. But yeah, so 3 misdemeanors is a bit much. It shows you're pretty busy. Hopefully you're retired from that, whatever it is. And I don't think this is going to be a big issue. Now, most of my clients have a big battle when they deal with the landlord. So, yeah, we went out and robbed banks, just got off the federal prison bus. But is there a landlord that wants a bank robber renting? Is there a big corporate complex that would like a 3-time bank robber with a voucher? So it's hard. It is hard. It's harder for you guys with records, okay? But it's not impossible. Jennifer Swift is okay. So I already answered that question. Jennifer Swift arrived late. Sorry if that's off topic. No, Jennifer, this is a whole Q&A video. This is to help address all the random things that people come up with about Section 8. You know, a lot of you can't even afford $1 for a console. So I come on these videos to try to answer questions that would be a waste of your money. Marco Albin, should I apply for the self-sufficient program before I port? No, you should not. You should port first. Let me tell you something, guys. The privileges you're granted by a housing authority in one city do not translate into you getting that in the next city. They can, in fact, take it all back. The next city can look at this and go, hey, you know what? We see you coming from California. You've got all kinds of neat add ons in your voucher. We're going to remove all that shit because you're receiving too much. So, whether they are billing or absorbing that housing authority, they make a new determination based on that housing authority where you're moving. So no, you're not going to force. That's the crazy thing about all this. You cannot force the forwarding housing authority into whatever you're receiving in the other state. They can completely change it, even remove it. I went back and forth with one client about that in California. She thought that everything translated into, oh yeah, when I pour it, all that comes with me. No, it don't. They will peel that apple all the way down, take the skin right off, and then leave you without them but with a rent payment. Now, if you're smart in the portability process, what you will do is make sure you're preparing and that they offer the program and that you know their policy rules before you open your lips about it. I always tell you guys, before you approach a housing authority about something, make sure you have the right story and qualifications in place, because once you open your mouth and they look at your case file and you can't give them an adequate reason, then you're pretty much have been denied, and then that denial remained the same in your file, and they're not going to be willing to consider new conversation. In other words, you're not going to keep calling back hoping they're going to give them a different answer. Okay? So it's important that you find out the policies, procedures first. Don't tell them why you want to know about the program. Just tell them that you'd like to know all the policies and for no particular reason. Once you know what the rules of the game are, then you can tailor your answers in your case towards avoiding a denial. A lot of this stuff is preparation, guys. If you're not well prepared, that's a lot of dealing with housing authority, is preparing to have your case structured and built before you ever deliver to these people. Because housing authorities are a lot like insurance companies. They will deny you on principle. Okay? They figure, oh, well, you look at Sally. She's got a few scraggly pieces of paper in her purse. She actually thinks she's going to come in and get something today. And then everybody in the housing authority giggles. You better come with a good case. If you don't know how to build your own case and present and know the policies and procedures before you open your mouth and make those requests at an official level, then you better get a consultant, okay? And you don't have to hire me. I'm just saying that you gotta have your business straightened out, guys. You can't just go in there with a wish list. Moving on, Jennifer Swift, theft. All right, well, lots of people have sticky fingers. Children got them too. So you took some things that didn't belong to you. Oh well. I'm sorry to hear they're not willing to take it. Now, if you had recent offenses of theft, then I think that will get easier over time. But your best option, Jennifer, is just simply to address a different county. If they denied you on principle, then just move to the next one. Okay, they're not going to change their mind about it. That's going to be their inside policy. But it's not the nationwide policy. So don't let that stop you from keeping going. And then Jennifer Swift says, yes, we're homeless and we're desperate, but no longer do that. I say, well, Jennifer, maybe getting away from the housing authority and then applying for continuum of care housing, which issues a voucher, where they don't care about that stuff. People that fresh out the county jail, fresh out of prison system and all that are able to get continuum of care. So I think your approach might be wrong, because you're trying to address, for those of you who don't know, there's two systems that play in this nation. First one is you deal with a housing authority, get a housing choice voucher, but there's also the continuum of care, which is nonprofit funded by the federal government. And those vouchers you can get in about 35 days if you know what you're doing. And Jennifer, you might have encountered that system before, HIMS, housing person, so on. In principle, it all comes down to specific answers. You deliver the right type of answers, they make an offer of housing to you. Loria, subscribe. Hey, I appreciate that. Hey guys, I'm going to give you a little piece of information here. YouTube is terrible about giving alerts for videos. For those of you that are absolutely annoyed by that, I actually pay Email Monkey. I don't know if y'all know that. They call it Email Monkey. I actually pay $10 a month. It's a simple page. You arrive at the page, you enter your email, and then I send out an alert only for the video. I don't market anything. There's nothing else on the page. I don't send out Christmas alerts for donations and bullshit. It's just simply to alert y'all when I have a video. If you want that kind of alert and you don't want to depend on it, because YouTube only gives out alerts to about 3% of all subscribed people. It's crazy. They've been doing this to me for 7 years. All right. So let me give y'all the address for that real quick. Here we go. All right, so this is going to go in the chat window. If you can't chat with me and see it in chat, you can find the email subscription thing in the description of the video. So once you land on that link there on that page, just subscribe. Another thing is I put big red letters, unsubscribe. If I annoy you, you're tired of seeing my stupid videos, just hit the subscribe button. I'm not holding anybody hostage. I have no desire to spam anybody. I make a couple of videos every week. Whenever you're tired of getting those alerts, just unsubscribe and it's a done deal. Okay. There's no hustle behind that. Jackie M. Hey, what's going on? Once a voucher is secured, how does one go about finding housing in Chicago or a preferred suburb? Well, I think our first and best approach would be to address affordable housing online. Our second approach should always be to scour Facebook Marketplace. I've had a great deal of success in there. What you should not do is go to Zillow, Realtor.com, and all that garbage. That's for market rate. And to be frank with you, the landlords that are most willing to violate your rights are actually on those kind of sites. So affordable housing online, Go Section 8, which is a joke. But the good thing about Go Section 8 is they were bought out, and now affordable housing online owns them. And affordable housing I've used for years, man. They're really good. And then Facebook Marketplace negotiating with private landlords. I got to get y'all out of these corporate buildings and see if you can get houses, a house with a yard, man. Try to enjoy your life a little better. Not everybody wants to do communal living with screaming children, barking dogs, and all the drama. Why not a little house with a yard? Jennifer Swift, can you port to another city, county, and the continuum of care? You cannot do that. But what you could potentially do is you can repeat and wash that process. Look, once you learn the system in one county, it's easy to do it again, okay? I've had a lot of success, and I've been utilizing that system pretty heavily this year. And I'd say my success rate with that is around 98%. It's got a little bit higher, 2% failure rate now because we're moving in the holidays. Kathy K, appreciate what you do, Jay. Thank you. All right. I want to thank Kathy personally. She is the first person today out of all the people that were in the chat that actually thanked me. A lot of you guys ask a lot of things, want a lot of information, but rarely am I ever thanked for a damn thing I do. 200 videos, a website, years, 20 years of my life, and I can probably count on my hands and toes how many people bother to ever thank me. A lot of people just get what they want, they leave, they don't give a damn whether or not they're thanking me or not. Now I know a lot of you, my regulars, have already thanked me, so like I said, I always appreciate that. That's an excellent form of payment. It's just thanking a person. You don't always have to pay somebody, you know. So thank you, Kathy, for saying that. Thank you. All right, guys. So what we're going to do is we're at 53 minutes at this point. In about 7 minutes, I'm going to wrap this video up. Why? Because my throat is tired. And it looks like the questions are dying out. So this is your last opportunity, whether you're new or you're old. If you do, in fact, have questions about Section 8 housing, low-income housing, porting, discrimination, issues with the housing authority, issues with HUD, and so on, please do ask. While y'all think about your questions, I'm going to give my final introductions again and then give y'all a few links. As most of you know, again, my YouTube channel has existed for 7 years successfully on YouTube. I've enjoyed those glorious 7 years. Also, I'm the owner of Section8Consulting.com. I'm well known on both Google and YouTube. I'm the #1 consultant in the U.S. You're welcome to check that. Google it any way you want. My face will always show up first for that, okay? Section 8 Consultant, Section 8 Consulting. Any way you type it, you'll always find me. Same thing with YouTube, but I often compete with other people that don't have as much experience as me. They make more Section 8 videos, but they're not consultants. They're, one week they're experts at fidget spinners, and next week they're baking cakes, and then this week they're willing to destroy your life to make a nickel on YouTube. I don't make a living off of little bullshit ads on YouTube. I don't care about that stuff. I'm out here to get the message out. All right. So, anyways, if you're tired, you don't want to struggle through the system, here's my advice to you. You've done it. You've tried it your way. You've done it your way. Your car broke down. Okay. So that's your house. You didn't want to call a mechanic because you're too damn cheap, whatever, and it's not working out. If it's not working out for you and you're tired of doing it your way, then my suggestion to you guys that are DIY is when you're tired and you're about to put your ass under a bridge, here is what you do. You book a consult with me, or you find an equivalent consultant that'll help you, okay? Even I'm smart enough to know when my air conditioning goes out, I call the AC man. I don't pretend that I'm an expert at all these other things. I only do one thing in life, and that's this. Okay, so I have an established relationship. Next time, I'm going to give you the website. Proof is in the pudding. It's a pretty nice website. I have the option. My web designer asked me, he goes, Jay, do you want me to put low income houses? I said, why would I want a bunch of crack houses all over my website? I want to inspire people. And so the website's actually very nice, because I don't want y'all to have dreams about getting vouchers to go live in a trailer park or in the disparaging part of town. The website is designed to make you see and hope for better things, obviously, to want better. I do not help anybody get a voucher so you can move into project-based housing. I will not help you move into bad neighborhoods. I will refuse your case if the only thing that you desire in life is to go and see how badly you can live, because I will refuse that. All right? All right, so you now have the website link. And by the way, the links I'm copying into this chat, you can also find in the description of the video. The next thing, for those people that are always on the verge of leaving a review about everything in life being a scam, fake news and scams. A lot of you guys are tire kickers. Read your heart out. 7 years of reviews over 100. You believe it or you don't, I don't care. They're there for your luxury, not mine. Those are just reviews. You'll find that most of my reviews are pretty interesting, because not everybody leaves a review to actually talk about my service. Sometimes they'll leave a review simply to tell me, please contact me or help me. That's the difference between having real reviews and somebody hiring some con artist in China to give them fake reviews. You'll see very quickly mine are very real, just by what they say. And they say a lot of things. So last thing, if y'all like membership, look, guys, this channel does have membership. And for those of you who've been around a long time, I rescue cats. I have 22, and I help them. Some are missing eyes, some are missing legs, some have a lot of problems, and that's what I do. Okay, I'm very passionate about saving people and also cats. When you purchase a membership, which is a couple of dollars, that's what it goes towards. So if you enjoy the luxury of pets, dogs, and cats, and all that, and you feel that your dollar would be best spent on a membership, you're welcome to do so in this channel, and I'll just give you a link to that. I don't need the money. I've always paid my vet bills. I have $22,000 in vet bills, okay? These are from these cats, so it's my responsibility. But if y'all want to support my cause, a couple of dollars, get a membership, please do so. But it's not ever a requirement of this channel. And I'm going to put that link now. So that's for membership. And you get a cool badge, and it'll make your name glow. That way you can stick out, stand out, and be proud when you're in the chat window and all that. I know we're all older folks here. We're not children, and this is not a gaming channel with Mario Kart and all that. But membership can be a neat thing for those who want a little glory. All right, so I'm going to take a look at the last few comments here, and then we're going to wrap it up in this last minute that we have left. So I think I see a lot of thank yous. So I appreciate those of you who thanked me tonight for my time. It has been 1 hour. Thank you very much. So Roland Bay says, what are some of the most advantaged vouchers in regards to extra benefits? I've never had anybody approach it from that thought, but I like the way you think, Roland Bays, about the vouchers. Which ones are the best? Which ones are the juiciest that offer the best stuff? Best bang for your buck on vouchers, if I had to pursue them, would be Section 811 and PSH vouchers. Some of your special use HCV vouchers, EHVs. The reason why, and HUD bash. The reason why is all those vouchers pay more, and some of them actually pay all the rent and utilities. Some vouchers have magical powers, man. I mean that in a joking way, but different types of vouchers are issued for different reasons. Let's give you a quick example before I close out the video. Section 202, Section 811, Section 504, PSH, RRH, HUD BASH, BAWA, HOPWA, and I can go on about 138 to 140 times about the different types of vouchers. Of that wide library of vouchers and funding, Roland Bays is right. There are some that are more powerful than others, and many of you do not know how to get them. So maybe I should address that as a top 10 list, possibly in the next video, of the vouchers with the most power and how you get them. The thing about these vouchers are, a lot of you don't, even if you applied normally, you couldn't get them. There is a method to the madness, and a lot of them have to be by referral. But if you know how to kind of work yourself through the system with a little dash of manipulation, you could actually find your way into one of those vouchers. However, it's trying times. We're in difficult times. And so there's lots of ways to persuade the system, okay? But remember, anytime I'm giving you guys advice on this channel, it means that all we're doing is we're following the letter of the law. We're not breaking, and we're certainly not going to lie. We're just going to match the intent of the law by looking at its loophole. Same good thing any good lawyer would do when he's got a client that committed murder. You'd be buying a really good lawyer. Why? Because he knows how to exploit the law within the reasons of the law. That's what we're focusing on doing. If you don't meet the criteria that would make that voucher be kick out that machine tomorrow, then our entire focus during your consult and during casework would be to form your case and build your life in such a way that you would be an excellent version of what they're looking for before you start putting ink to paperwork and pressing send on these applications. A lot of you screw yourself with that. You think it's just a simple, let me sign my name, address, click a few boxes, and I'm going to get a voucher. No, you're not. There's so many things you can do that could potentially change these waits by decades. But I won't argue the part. There's lots of experts in the world that don't know shit, But I think I performed this enough to know if there is a way to get it faster or quicker. I've certainly proven that over and over and over. And so I'm gonna leave you with one last thing, guys. Go through this entire YouTube channel. See that there's over 200 videos. First thing you're going to notice is when you go to any other channel, over half the videos that any creator on YouTube makes has a bunch of dislikes. You can't remove a dislike on a video. Okay, not like a comment. My videos, the worst I've ever gotten was 6 dislikes on a single video. How did I manage 7 years and then I'm at a near 100% on every single video? If you don't believe me about statistics, go to other YouTube channels. You'll watch when they have videos at 67, 53%. If I was selling snake oil in this channel, then I wouldn't have 200 videos across 7 years if I was dead wrong. My channel would be covered, my videos would be filled with angry, pissed off people, but there's anything far from it. I've survived today the same as I did then, and I'll keep on going. And, one testament that speaks to all of this is I managed to survive this with y'all, doing the casework and still getting vouchers through a pandemic that made it 10 times worse. So that says a whole lot. When the rest of the con artists that make videos disappear, I'm still here. So that says a lot. So, guys, I hope you've enjoyed your Wednesday night, and we'll probably do it again tomorrow, but it won't be a Q&A. We're going to talk about some other issues. And, Mr. Bays, I just want to remind you that I will look into the top 10 list of vouchers, and we'll just try to discuss that. So maybe I can look at that. But I don't want you to think this will ever be easy. Just because I give you a top 10 list does not mean it's going to be easy to achieve manipulating a housing authority into kicking out the one you want. Anytime you want something for free or from the government or from the housing authority, it's always going to be a gigantic pain in your ass. And only those of you that understand how to survive adversity, stress, that are persistent are going to be able to survive this well enough to get what you need. If you're weak-minded, you've constantly got problems, and you give up easily, this is not a system that you want to challenge because it'll break you. That's one thing that I try to do is manage you guys from being broken and picking up the pieces and helping you through it. So I tell you, it's easier to deal with a consultant that gets you through it than it is for you to sit there and drive yourself wild. You'll read till your eyes pop out your head trying to figure out HUD. Trust me, I wouldn't have 8 terabytes if this was just some little easy Sunday school pamphlet to get through this. We could talk for days, years, and months about this and never even reach the end of the subject. So, all right, guys, y'all have a good night. I'm going to go pet those cats, and we'll see you again Thursday. Bye-bye.